There's a simple way to end the Republican Party, and I don't know if the Democrats have the heart to do it. So listen to me very carefully. I'm Darren Monroe. I worked on Kamala Harris's campaign on the engagement team. I also have 30 years marketing branding experience. Used to work for Universal, DreamWorks, MCA, iHeartMedia, promoted $6 billion worth of films. I know what I'm talking about when I talk about this, okay? Also, this is sponsored by my Clarity Group. Definitely click the link in my description or on my homepage. Join my Clarity Group because I get to say stuff social media would never let me say. In fact, they flagged a lot of my content. I talk about the election, the real truth behind it. I talk about Epstein, the real truth behind that, the stuff you don't hear on social media. You definitely want to get in there. Plus, I do lives every week. You'll love them. You'll enjoy it. Now, let's get into the details here. The first thing is there is a way to put down the Republican Party 100%. Follow me through all of this. Follow me through all of this because there's nobody out there who is covering it like this in this way. We've talked about this a little bit in some areas, but nobody goes in this much detail. The real question is, does the Democratic Party have the heart to do it? They're going to have to get over themselves. And you know exactly what I'm talking about as soon as I go through this. The way you end the Republican Party, and I'm going to show why we can't do it and what do we got to get over to get it done through the Democrats. Okay? Here we go. Let's go. The way you get rid of them is by gutting out the entire southern belt from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. We focus heavily. Pull out of Texas for presidential elections. Pull out of Florida, pull out of Ohio, and go all in on Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Why those states? Well, some of you already know, especially if you black. 30% or more is the population, and black people voted 85%. White people do not. No other group votes at the highest percentage for Democrats than black people. You do that, you will gut the South and gut the entire Republican Party, take them down, and we will own that son of a bitch. We will. But why have they done it? I mean, this doesn't take a genius to figure this out. Why haven't they done it? Because the Democrats have several problems. In fact, in my Clarity Group, I talk about this. There are 5 different types of civil wars going on in our country, not one, 5. And one of which is in the Democratic Party. And in the Democratic Party, it's happening on 4 to 5 different levels. And let me explain. Ideology, the difference between the progressives and the traditionalists. There's a problem there. Mom Donnie, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, progressives. Traditionalists, Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi. Okay? Now, some of you want to say, well, Kamala Harris was the vice president. She had to work with everybody. She didn't have no choice to be progressive, and she had 107 days to pull some shit together, a miracle. And we know the math ain't math, and I'll talk about the math ain't math and how you know what was stolen. You get in my Clarity Group. They ain't gonna let me say it here. They ain't gonna let me go there. They ain't gonna let me go there. I know a lot of you try to go there with me, and I would love to open up that conversation. But I don't want any more of my content flagged on social media, period. Get in my Clarity Group, for real. Now, here's the thing. It's not just ideology. The next one is, really makes me mad. It's age. Pelosi should have been passing the torch. Dick Durbin should have been passing the torch. Even my representative out of House of Representatives, Danny Davis, should have been passing the torch. These are people in their 70s, 80s. Okay? What the fuck? Come on, man. Come on. We need torch passing to happen. And they didn't do that. They didn't do that. Okay, so between the progressive arguments with Mom Donnie not even endorsing their own candidate for mayor, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, and Hakeem Jeffries throwing hate on Jasmine Crockett and Pelosi throwing hate on AOC, nah. Then you got this age thing going on where they need to be passing torches. Too many old mama in the game. They got to let this go. We need transference. Then there's a third problem that the Democrats have, and it's down ticket national. I've told people not to even put money in Act Blue, but a lot of people need their money in Act Blue. Let me give you an example. One of the 30 Texas Democrats who are running for safety asked me to give the Act Blue, and I was like, I'm at Act Blue. But I gave Act Blue, and I promote Act Blue. But I'm really weird about that. Don't go all in on Act Blue, because the Nationals try to take over the Act Blue and try to direct it. They're using local to control national, and it gets weird. The problem is a lot of the down ticket have said that they're not getting the money from the national. And the national's been raising 10 times the money. Please, $5 here, $5 there. It's not that they asking for the $5. It's just that we don't seem like we're getting a return on that. When you sitting there not voting for impeachments, when you sitting there voting for the Lake and Riley Act, when you sitting there voting for president's rights to exempt, this was back in November when they knew Trump was going to be president, right to exempt nonprofits for terrorism reasons, and he would have done it for any reason and used it and claimed it was terrorism. Or when they're sitting there not voting to impeach Donald Trump for bombing Iran, or just on and on and on. Or if they're out there voting against the bill, like my Senator Dick Durbin did, right along with Schumer and 8 others. I mean, why are we, there's a down ticket and a national, and the down ticket needs your help. That means these state Democrats, whether they're in red states, blue states, most especially red states, you see what Texas is going through, but they're not alone. This is going to be gerrymandering wars. And then you see also the county and parish presidents and the mayors. They need help because they're trying to cut them to the bone, whether they're in a red or blue state. The final thing that's really getting me, and this is the deepest one of all. So we got the progressive ideology, we got the age, we got the down ticket national, but the fourth one is the one that gets me and hurts me the most. And that is, they're not willing to discuss and attack the racism, prejudice, homophobia, misogyny, xenophobia happening in the Democratic Party. How do we know that's there? Well, what's a perfect example of that? Wanting a primary for Kamala Harris. Now, why would you want a primary? What has she done in her term as vice president that you would want a primary with 107 days to go? We should have a primary. You would have asked that if Obama said for the second term he wasn't running and Biden was VP. You wouldn't ask that back in the day if Clinton wasn't running the second time and Gore was VP. No way you'd ask that. Of course not. There's only one VP in the history of the last 40 years that they should even consider that with, and that was Dan Quayle, talking the most unqualified person ever. How in the world are you going to ask about a primary with this black Indian woman married to the Jew and not willing to even talk about it? But she thought herself above it, kept moving, and kept focused. But I think it's important. I think for the second time around when she runs in 2028, and she will win. But the thing she should talk about openly about racism and heritage. The best speech I ever heard Obama make was in 2008, I believe, right during the campaign, when he talked about racism in his family and how eerie and uncomfortable he felt, as his grandmother says, when she saw black men, she crossed the street. His white grandmother. I think it was brilliant the way he put it and brought it into subject. Look that up on YouTube. That is one of the best speeches that man ever made. Seriously. It was not the most popular, but it was definitely the most poignant. And I think she needs to go there. And what really hurt a lot of our feelings, we knew that one of the reasons that they did get a lot of support, even though the math ain't mathing and such was stolen, I think that one of the biggest things, the biggest issues was race, gender. You know how many people working on Kamala's campaign who were women, some of which black women, white women, brown women, who had problems with her as a woman. That woman ain't did nothing to no other women to get that. We have a racism, prejudice, homophobia, xenophobia problem in the Democratic Party. And if you're not admitting it, then you're the problem. And when they lost the election, they said, well, maybe it was the economy. I'm like, really? Really, bitch? Get out of here. Or, yeah, it was immigration. No, it was these brown people getting the bag because the brown people are the hardest working motherfuckers in America, period. Hands down, mic drop. Hands down. Hands down. And y'all hating on them? Y'all hating on them is hating on us, stupid. And now they're seeing that. I think that if you can't have that conversation, if you can't talk about that, if you can't talk about what's going on with this down ticket national, if you can't talk about the age issue and passing the torch, and if you can't talk about the ideology of progressivism, of progressives versus traditionalism, then it's going to be hard to gut the core of the Republican Party, because you're too busy searching for the safe, soft white people candidate versus the diverse candidate that needs to go all the way and just say, fuck it, throw the cool points out the window. You know, I said this, again, coming with 30 years of branding marketing experience, I said this one thing and it was true, and I'm sad that I was right. I said the only way Donald Trump will win is if he goes further right than center. And he did. And Kamala, she was playing a good game. I must admit, I'm not going to BS and tell you, yeah, I thought she should have gone further left. No. I thought she was doing the right thing in the center for the time she had. I think she was doing the right thing. Plus, I think the math ain't mathing, so I ain't going to go down there. I don't want to get strikes. But here's the thing. Particularly, let me just say this real quick. For those of you who know, you know, especially if you're in the Clarity group, you know what I'm talking about. North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Something was off. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get my content flagged. But I'm going to tell you, dog, I know things. This weekend, I'm dropping a report on that, an update report. There's some things you need to know that's really sad, that behind the scenes people don't know. I'm going to share. Here's what I want you to know. The minute the leadership changes to progressive, the minute the leadership changes to younger, the minute the leader, because they can't run this forever. The traditional people can't run, older people can't run this forever. They can't even live forever. So the idea is the minute the elites are out, the progressives are in, the younger progressives are in, the minute we begin to have a conversation about down ticket money for real, the minute we begin to have conversation about prejudice, racism, homophobia, misogyny, and xenophobia, is the moment we win. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth, everybody. That's how we win. We win by showing up and confronting our own demons. Because you know what? The Republicans are right about one thing. I hate to admit it, but they're right. We need to realize that our own shit is a problem. If we can address that, we win. See, they lead with confidence. The GOP, they lead with confidence with no conscience. We lead with conscience and no confidence. Well, at least the governors. That's another thing. That's the fifth one. I didn't bring up the fifth one enough. There is another part of this Democratic Civil War. You got the Democratic governors and attorney generals, and these guys, the Democratic Congress. And the Democratic Congress has weak leadership, and they're great individually, but they are poor as leading with cohesiveness. Whereas these guys are Spartans. Like that 300 movie. Look at how the governors for the last 28 weeks have saved us in so many ways. They have fought for us. They are moving different. Even Politico was saying they got swagger, man. They coming with it. Not just now, but for the last 28 weeks. They have been fighting with us. They were preparing for this in 2023. And I thought, yeah, bull, they ain't gonna come do nothing. When they did their little press conference in November, shit. Do you know they've been suing at Together as 23 individually and in packs of 4, 10, 14. I kid you not. Gangster than a mother. Whereas Congress, we got too much of a civil war happening and they got to confront their own inner shit. If they can do that, we'll be better. But the strategy is sound. You go Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, you even get half that number. You are really stabbing into the heart of what they're doing. But before you can attack them, the enemy within has to be confronted. That and our alarmist nature of our leftist creators. It's easy to call out somebody like Aaron Palmer. Aaron Palmer's breaking news because he's got 4 million followers. But he's not alone. There are thousands. There are thousands. And that wouldn't be fair on little Aaron doing that. And we know we got thousands. I don't want to make an enemy out of just trying to take him on. And I'm not afraid of the young man at all. I mean, but you get what I'm saying. It's not fair because the problem is much bigger than him. It's much bigger. But we do have a lot of great people who are confronting what is going on. I'll talk about that. I'm sharing a private database in the back end of our Clarity group this coming week. Definitely join. Click the link in the description and definitely join it. Here's the thing, too. Even if you don't join, definitely have I earned your subscription here and binge watch my last 10, 20 videos. Go back and watch my last 10, 20 videos. You'll love it. As well as look at my playlist here. You'll love it. It'll be a total difference for you. I'll see you on the other end. Stay strong. Love your family.